Hello, welcome back to another DIY video, and this one we're going to be making some pants from WHODECIDESWAR, and this one's going to be the ROYGBIV Fusion Denim. I don't know, is it ROYGBIV? ROYGBIV? The Fusion Denim. These don't look too complicated to make. I mean, there are a couple of things that I'm not entirely sure how they made, but I have some guesses in my head. Will it work on paper? I don't know. One of the obstacles is trying to create these faded creases. Yeah, I'm not really sure how they made that. And the second one is the patches. I'm not really sure what I'm going to make for those patches. I might actually just like draw something onto denim fabric and then sew that on, because I doubt I'll find some kind of patch that'll look similar to this at the thrift store, because this patch is huge, you know? So I'll probably have to draw that. And that's another obstacle because I'm not exactly the best drawer. But I can try it. You know, I'll just try. Because the WHODECIDESWAR denim looked like it didn't have any fading from wear on it, I ended up going with these George jeans from Walmart because they're like working on a clean slate. They had no fading or anything on them. And of course, I was able to pick up the size that I wanted, which was a size 34-34. The first step was trying to recreate the white crease markings. I figured bleach was the best option, but just in case it didn't work out, I tested it on some scrap fabric first that was from another pair of the same jeans. It's been about like an hour since I applied the bleach onto this, and you can kind of see it now. It's coming out a lot more. This, by the way, is 100% bleach. Wasn't diluted at all. It's kind of giving off the look that I want, so I think this is what I'm gonna go with. I don't want to wait any longer because it's taking too long. So yeah, that's all I gotta do. Paintbrush, bleach, apply. Simple as that. With the test being a success, I used a paintbrush to draw out the markings with a bleach solution of 1:0, and then used a sponge replacement to make thicker strokes. After the pants were washed and dried, I marked where the distressings will be and then distressed them with my rotary tool. After, how long has it been? Say like 8 hours or so, maybe like 7 or something. Finally finished distressing the pants, so here's the front side, here's a little bit of the back side. It's done basically. So next up, we have to deconstruct the pants by opening up the inseams fully and the outseams up to the front pockets. For the patch repairs, I used some old thermals I had lying around because of its waffle texture. One tip when adding patch repairs is to fix the strands and iron the distressings from the inside so it will be flat and not as messy when applying the repair fabric. Before sewing in the repair fabrics, I painted each area a little bit with the color I was going to darning stitch each hole with. When the paint was dry, I swapped the top thread to the corresponding color that I painted, and then sewed around the repair fabric to secure it, and then darning stitched around it. Using a scrap pair of denim that was the same color as the base layer for this project, I cut out the flare panels to be used on both sides. As per usual, I wanted to increase the opening of the pant legs to 10 inches. When the flare panels were ready, I sewed the outseam of each pant leg up until the point where the flare will start, and then sewed in the flare panels. For the mosaic patches on the sides, I cut out a paper version to get the sizings right, and then outlined it onto extra denim to cut out correctly sized panels. Because the denim I cut them out on were dark, I flipped them over to use the lighter side, which will make my life easier when drawing on the designs since the colors will be easier to see. I first drew out the design on the paper version I made, so I knew exactly what to draw, but when I was about to draw it in with pen onto the patches I was going to use, I wasn't exactly confident in my drawing abilities to not make a mistake and especially draw a similar sized tree 4 times, so I decided to just make a stencil with my Cricut cutter and use that to outline the tree. I finalized the design on Photoshop and then cut out more stencils to be used for the background, making my life so much easier. Yo, that looks so sick. That looks so cool. To color it in, I relived my elementary school days of coloring, trying to stay within the lines and whatnot, and I used fabric markers to do this. It probably doesn't seem like it, but this part of the DIY actually took the longest to finish. Some people suggested buying an airbrush and using that to speed up the process, which I probably should have done, but I was just using what I had at the time. But buying an airbrush setup is probably going to be my next investment because I'm not doing this process again. When the panels were finally done, I placed them evenly along the outseam and used some tacky glue to keep them in place. At first, I was going to use my sewing machine to sew the panels in, but then I decided to just hand sew them in instead. Personally, I think it just looks a lot better than just using a sewing machine. Finally, for the last couple of steps, we had to close up the pants at the inseams, and then I didn't want to leave the hems raw, so I closed them up and then sewed them in. Yo, one thing that I learned from this DIY is that I should invest in an airbrush setup. That way I won't have to go through that rigorous drawing process again. That was so tedious. That portion of this DIY took longer than the actual darning process, or I mean, it felt like it. But next time I just gotta use a more efficient way because we ain't about wasting time, you know? Now the pants, I would definitely give them a straight up 10 out of 10. I don't see any flaws with them. Now there is one thing that I guess I would change. I don't really consider it a flaw because I don't mind how they are right now, but it's the mosaic panels on the sides. They're just a little bit dark in comparison to the base layer jeans. That could obviously have been fixed if I used a lighter denim, but I was only using the denim that I had at the time and it was all just dark. Another thing, if you want to be nitpicky, is that the green thread that I use, it's a little bit on the darker shade, so it's not that visible no matter how close I make the darning stitches. So if I were to use like a neon green, some kind of lighter green, maybe it'd be a lot more visible. But again, I don't really mind, it's whatever. Now how they fit is basically what I had in mind, where it has a slimmer fit when it gets to the knees, and then below the knees it flares out all the way to 10 inches, which is my preferred flared length. Also, how baggy they are is what I had in mind as well, so I did pick the correct length for myself, and it's good that I close up the hem at the bottom. It makes it look a lot more clean and professional. But what do you guys think about them? Do you guys like them? Do you guys not like them? Hope you guys do like them. What would you change about them, or would you just leave it as it is? But if you guys want to keep up to date with what I'm working on, my current project, follow me on my Instagram. I usually post updates on my story at JULIUS. If you guys are new or you want to get into this, or if you have any questions about the project you're working on, join my Discord. There's hella talented people over there. Just ask a question. Someone there will answer you. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button too. It helped me out so much. We're almost at 20,000 subs. It's crazy. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.